Hoping we can turn this into a new series. I'm going to draw Jackie Kennedy over and over again and just, show my illustrations of her. This first one is based off of her appearance in the 1962 White House tour, and I've always liked that look of hers probably the most out of any of her, at least appearances as First Lady. Like, I like the dress. It has this kind of box shape to it with the long sleeves and, the necklace that is just kind of like off the shoulder. And I really like the way her hair was done in that particular um, tour, because it's kind of, I guess it's the bouffant, but it's sort of, it has this like angling to it where the front is kind of like pushed in, and it's more just straightened out than it usually is with, sometimes the bangs or pieces that kind of hang off the side. And I'll be the first one to admit I'm not great with the pearl necklaces. That's actually one of the reasons I have abstained from drawing her as much as I would like to, because anytime I have to have something, and this is more so an issue when I draw by the computer than by hand, but anytime I have to draw something just continuously and make it the same size, I might not put them on until I've already illustrated the rest of the image. So it'll basically be this thing where you'll start adding a pearl right like at the top of the neck, and then by the time you get to the bottom of the shoulder, it'll be too much, or there won't be enough space to put one in between. It's one of those things where if I keep practicing, I think I'll get better at doing it. But it is an issue of mine that I have had problems with. But this is going to be an outfit that I might draw her reoccurringly. And like, I know a lot of people, and people do believe like that pink suit she wore to Dallas was the most iconic of her attire. And it certainly is a look that I like as well. But I think my personal favorite is probably the White House tour dress. And yeah, it's something I'm hoping to probably illustrate a few more times. Yeah, I have a little bit of shading on the side. Um, I particularly like that illustration of her face, where it's based off this shot of her when I was watching the White House tour, where she kind of like turns to look. And again, it's that thing where you can still see part of the hair kind of like creeping out on the right hand side, but you still it's the angling of it is what makes it so like just elegant to me in that respect. So yeah, that look is one of my favorites. I'm hoping I do it some more times from here. Our next image is based off of a picture of her in, I believe it was Venezuela, where she's kind of got some snow in her hair. I didn't carry that over, and the picture's in black and white, so I don't know what exact color she had on. I know it was a light colored suit. Um, but yeah, I tried to replicate the way her hair looked and the hat that she had on, the pillbox hat. Um, it's it's definitely the least ambitious of the three that I included here. It was more so, this is one of those drawings where you could repurpose like the face, right? Just like use the face again for another image. Um, where there's like a more elaborate background or a full body shot. It's one of those things where it's a good base in terms of like if I want to draw something else, hey, here's a picture of Jackie's, side profile that I can start off as a reference, and then we can make the other image or adjust the size of it to be next to her. But yeah, I like this image. I initially had a darker pink for the suit because pink was her, as it has turned into mine over the last year, signature color. So if there's some outfit she wore and I can't verify what color it actually was, right? Because she was one of the last first ladies where a majority of the pictures of them are black and white. I'll just make it pink just because that's the color she is most associated with. So I like it. It's again not the most ambitious picture, but I think it's a good place to start in terms of just getting more used to drawing the side of her face. Now this one, it's based off of a photo I've had of her in my phone for I think about 8 years, 7 or 8 years, where it was some White House event, and she's turned and she's smiling, just like seems really happy to be there. And she has her hair done up in this way where there's something that's holding that top part up and keeping the back part drooping the way that it does. And she's got some, probably gown on that, is strapless. And I don't know what color her lipstick was. I just assumed it was like a, darker red. Like that's, with her, I tend to assume it's either going to be some light pink or darker pink. That's just what I've seen for most of the photos I have of her from that period. But yeah, this is probably, I'm not going to say it's my favorite of the three. I really like that first one as well, but I like how just happy she appears. I do like the angle because it's rare for me to just draw someone from the back, like where you can see the side of their face and their back turned as well. And hopefully, if I do any more installments of this series, I can get around to drawing her with some of the different senators and civil rights leaders from the 60s, because I do like to illustrate real life people a lot, and just as a way to improve my skills. I'm more so lacking when it comes to vehicles and buildings, but I think with people I've become a lot more. That's always been the thing I've concentrated the most on as an artist, just human beings and scaling and proportions and whatnot. So I really like this picture. I think it has the strongest likeness of her out of the three, but I do see where it's a starting point. It's another one of these images where we're getting used to drawing her more often, and from there on we can create something that's more conducive to just more ambitious drawings. You'll have your simplistic stuff too. Like I really would like to draw members of her family, not JFK, but just like her mom and dad and sister, right? And of course, her children as well. And maybe from there we can also just kind of like segue into some other historical figures from that same time period. But no, I hope that you enjoyed this, and hopefully this is the beginning of a very long series of installments, because I draw Jackie a lot. She's one of the most important women of the 20th century, and I just want to have this as my own little way of remembering her.